During the May 19th Lansing City Council meeting, our power utility manager gave a harrowing storm damage repair update. For those out-of-towners and Russian bots listening, Lansing was hit by severe winds or tornado, depending on who you talk to, last Thursday night. The city budget is finalized with 4 last-minute jobs added by council. They stick to their story regarding blocking hard liquor license transfers, and a kiddo soccer team, the Stampede, receives high honors. Welcome to What Lansing Council, a podcast transforming Monday night's Lansing City Council meetings into an enthralling recap. I'm your host, Jill Dombrowski. Today, my special guest is Alicia Maida. She is a Genesee Neighborhood Association leader and works as a speech pathologist and a 3-unit landlord. Welcome so much, Alicia.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being on the podcast. Can you tell us how you would describe Lansing in your own words?
I really thought a lot about this, and I centered on the word opportunities. I feel like there are so many opportunities here. I've moved to Lansing 3 times in my life. My kids have gotten to do some incredible things in the 5 years that we've been here. Arts, there's always something to do on the weekends. There's lots of growth in, the construction, the trades right now. There's just so much going on in Lansing.
Yeah, that's great to hear. What sort of things are your kids into?
My kids are really into art, just being in the neighborhood. We really love living downtown. My daughter's doing bike rides all over, which is nice that it clears out traffic-wise in the evening.
Yes.
So,
yes.
We've done the Reach Art Center. We love so many local businesses downtown. My husband is in the trades. He's an electrician, so
Nice.
He's in all kinds of buildings around the city, which has just been really fun to hear, his experience as, being a construction worker and building the town and rebuilding some buildings and saving other ones and all that.
I'm sure a lot of stories.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. And I guess we talked about this a little bit, but is there anything else that you want to highlight that you really like about Lansing?
I really like our 3 downtowns. I love that we have downtown. I love Rio Town, love Old Town. Great vintage everywhere. I love that vibe of Lansing. That there is something for everyone. Anytime anyone comes visits, they always want to go to Old Town. Everyone wants to shop at Metro Retro and Thrift Witch. And so I just love the different feels in the different downtowns, and how they all work together but are their own little ecosystems.
Yeah, for sure. And what's something that you'd hope to see change in Lansing?
I really was thinking about, historical preservation. I am an old house person. I love fixing up an old house. I love plaster. It's all great. Historic preservation, it's something that could be improved, but I think it's also something Lansing is doing, great with. Walter French is open. There's a lot of school buildings that get reused. We're in the Genesee Neighborhood Association. We are very focused on the Genesee School right now.
Okay.
We're really hoping to get that redeveloped by a developer who is just really invested in Lansing and, wants to really be part of the community and hopefully is part of the community.
Yeah. So what stage are you in the process there?
We are keeping an eye on it,
Okay,
what we are doing. Our neighborhood association kind of was reborn around the school in that there was a company that was wanting to come in and redevelop it. And we started going to city council meetings, started talking to them, and realized, we can actually make a small but active neighborhood association here again. And then we're really just wanting to work with the groups. So we're talking to some of the groups that are wanting to get approval to redo it. Mm-hmm. We're also just trying to survey the neighborhood to see what people would want. Really hoping some local group will get a hold of that.
Yeah, that's great. What other issues are you dealing with in the Genesee neighborhood?
We keep an eye on some areas for dumping garbage.
Mm-hmm.
There are some apartments that are being built in our area, and we're kind of curious about how parking is going to go with that. So just
Sure.
a lot of little things. We're really just trying to get together. Our biggest challenge has been getting the word out to everybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We started working with the Grace Lutheran Church recently that's on MLK, and, have really kind of tried to couple with them to get the word out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
Has that been helping?
Yeah, it's just, more people. And they've wanted to have a neighborhood association to work with, but we had kind of disappeared. They really had continued to do a lot of supports to the neighborhood. They just weren't getting as much word of mouth either without having an association.
Yeah, well, great that you're stepping up and working together with other groups. That's what we got to do.
Yeah, we got a good probably 8 to 10 core members that are really being really active in our neighborhood.
So good to hear. So let's talk about the meeting. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're at the May 19th, 2025 meeting. And we start with the Committee of the Whole, all council members present. And those are Ryan Cost, our president from the 1st Ward, Jeremy Garza of the 2nd Ward, Adam Hussein of the 3rd Ward, and Brian T. Jackson of the 4th Ward. Our current at-large members are Jeffrey Brown, Tamara Carter, vice president, Trini Pelivanoglu, and Peter Spatafor. Also, the mayor is at both meetings, and Mark Lawrence, his chief of staff, as well as Sherry Boak, the recording staff for the Committee of the Whole, and Greg Venker, the city attorney, and Lisa Hagan Lawrence, the deputy city attorney. The mayor announced it was her birthday. And I got to do one of my favorite things, which is to start a round of applause. The new clerk intern gamely jumps in on those now, so we are having a good time at the meetings. I don't think it's technically allowed, like they don't want people making a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
But
was it for the birthday?
It was for the birthday.
Yeah.
The chief strategy officer for the city, Jake Brower, was also in the audience, and he did get called up to answer a few budget questions. So they started off with a comment from the firefighters union rep, Local 421. They were at the last meeting, and they were really speaking about how they want more of a strategic plan, like more budget. And he said, since the last meeting, they've had some great conversations, and he feels confident about the budget moving in the right direction. Thank you all for taking positive steps to move forward. Looking forward to more discussions. Great. And they get right into it with the budget. So, council has 2 amendments that they present, and Garza goes first. He says, let's add $350,000 to the budget that will cover 2 new firefighter jobs for the next fiscal year. So this budget is for next fiscal year, which starts this July. Cool. So there'll be a total of 3 new firefighter jobs overall added, because you need 3 new folks to staff an ambulance, they told us, as well as a legislative administrative position to aid in the runnings of council. So $250,000 of that will come from council's budgeted slush fund. So that's their whole slush fund is going towards this. And I didn't really catch where the other $100,000 was coming from. Somewhere. They'll find it, I guess. Councilmember Jackson asked, what are our current vacancies for the firefighters? I don't want this to be another thing like the police where we just have a lot of vacancies sitting around on the books. The mayor calls Brower and the HR director, Elizabeth O'Leary, and they say in the firefighters, we only have 3 vacancies currently with 2 to 4 projected retirements. For police, there's 25 vacancies.
Wow.
So those are positions that are budgeted that's nobody is in.
And they're trying to get more budgeted and still don't have bodies.
Yes. So that's the main opposition by Jackson. Jackson says, okay, well, that's not too bad for firefighters. I want to support my colleagues, so let's go through with it. It passes unanimously. Afterwards, Spatafor says, so this issue was not in our original budget priority document that council put forth, and we should make sure to revise that for next year. People are like, cool.
Someone will take a note of that.
That's right. Next, Councilmember Jackson does a presentation of another amendment. He says, I want to add 1 full-time sustainability specialist job. In addition to Lori Welch, who is the sustainability manager whose position was created in 2020. He says she's been doing a great job. She has saved the city hundreds of thousands of dollars through programs she is running and could use the support of 1 additional staff for grant writing and managing some waste and recycling initiatives. So
I didn't even know that was a position.
Yeah. So we've got 1 person doing that for the city.
So is it sustainability environmentally wise or sustainability budget wise?
Great question.
Yeah, because it sounds like she's saving money, but how?
Right. Jackson has been pressing Brower. Brower is the chief budget strategy officer, and he's really been pressing him to like come up with a hard number for how much she has saved the city.
Gotcha.
So I think maybe saves might be the wrong word. Like she's brought in money through grant writing. One thing he talks about is a solid waste collection program for food waste. So there's bins at different community locations you can come bring your compost to. So I know that's one thing she's working on, looking at different ways that the city can be more environmentally friendly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So folks are like, unfortunately, Jackson, all the money that you wanted to use for this, we just spent on the firefighters. And he's like, well, that's not fair. Like, just because mine goes second, like, then we can't do it.
Right.
So there's a little bit of back and forth there, trying to figure out where they can get this money from. People seem generally in support of it. They're like, okay, the city has a rainy day fund savings account that is currently funded at 14.2% of what it should be at.
Oh, geez.
Or what the budget is. And I guess legally, they can't drop that savings account below 12%.
Right.
And so there's like 2.2% of play there. And they're like, well, how much money is that? And Brower is like, I don't know, like $1 million. And Garza is like, great, let's spend that on like more police. And
so there's a slush fund and a rainy day fund?
Yes.
How are they different?
Well,
do we know?
Yeah, that's a great question. My understanding is their slush fund is built into the budget, so it's already covered by like projected revenues and everything.
But it's not allocated yet to
But
anything?
it wasn't allocated yet. But the rainy day fund, that's just like a savings account that is stagnant. Like they're not going to get more money in that unless they put money into it. Like I don't know if they're budgeting to put more money into it this year.
Gotcha.
But it's like more of like a reoccurring fund over just like a one-time fund.
Right.
Then they're like, okay, I think Jackson had already proposed, and he had the chief strategy officer help him come up with this proposal. So $7,000 coming from roads repair, $21,000 from trash, $21,000 from recycling, because it's like those are going to be helped out by this position. Those
that makes sense.
programs, yeah.
If the numbers are right.
Right. And they do some back and forth. Can we take this out of the savings account? Is it okay to draw from these other funds? And the attorney is like, yeah, I think this will be fine. So Councilmember Cost is like, okay, let's do this. And then Spatafor is like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to take stuff away from our savings account. Like, that doesn't seem like a good practice. And Cost is like, okay, never mind. And Pelivanoglou is like, well, Councilmember Jackson is really trying to build some capacity here. Like this, it sounds like this position is going to pay for itself from the calculations he's done. So I think we should go through with this. And people are like, okay. So they do a vote, and Garza and Spatafor vote no, and the other 6 vote yes. So 6-2, it passes. Jackson gets his sustainability specialist.
Very cool. They're making decisions.
They are making decisions. Good to see them really wrestle with that and come to a conclusion. Budget season over.
For this year.
Yes. They're all congratulating themselves on a job well done. Like, didn't we work so well collaboratively together? Yes, we did. The mayor's like, thanks for sending me your priorities. And they're like, thank you, Mayor, for listening to us. I guess, great. Next, they had some discussion about hard liquor license transfers. Whiskey and whatnot.
Vodka.
Those ones.
Yeah.
Yes. The ability to sell those directly to the consumer, not like in a mixed drink or whatever.
So, like Quality Dairy's license?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And my understanding is this is kind of coming up now because Rite Aid had a bunch of those, and they all closed.
So now there's maybe 20 floating around.
Right.
Okay.
This one business is trying to get 2 of those floating Rite Aid licenses, and one of them, where they want to put a new store, is at Pleasant Grove and just north of Jolly. And then the other one is on Michigan Ave and Clemens. And council is like, they already sent a letter to the Michigan Liquor License Control Board, because this is not governed by the city.
Right.
It's governed by the state licensing agency. And they're like, hey, we don't think this is a good idea.
To transfer them?
Right.
Okay.
And so the state license board was like, fine, no transfer. And then the folks who wanted them was like, no, wait, we want this. So they're appealing that decision
To the city.
and
to
the
city
state.
council.
Yeah.
Okay.
And city council is like, well, what do we feel about this? Carter, Spatafor, Brown, Cost, and Jackson are all like, we still feel the same way. We listened to our residents who spoke out about not wanting more of these liquor stores in the neighborhood, so we're sticking with our decision, but we want to try to be consistent about the way that we're dealing with these transfers. So they didn't talk about what that meant, but that they want to do that.
Yeah, because what if somebody who already has some liquor licenses wants just one more?
Yeah.
And it's somebody who's established. It might sway them differently.
Right. It's like there wasn't any discussion about like how many liquor stores is okay at every intersection.
Right.
Like
which
one,
areas.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something maybe down the road they'll have more discussions about.
That seems like something you could definitely look at what other municipalities are doing to balance it.
For sure.
To get some ideas of what has worked in other communities that are similar sized in nature.
Yeah. Great idea. You're hired.
I'll email them right now.
Yes, do it. And then there was one more of these liquor license transfers, and this was to a location at Pennsylvania and Kalamazoo, where there's already Quality Dairy, already a Speedway. So it would be the third one on that intersection. And President Cost was like, I'm disappointed about this because I spoke to the owners of this property about what they were planning to do. And they were like, no, well, of course, we're not going to put another liquor store. And then they sold it. And the new owners are like, guess what? We're going to do another liquor store. And he's like, this is not good. So we want to also block this one. The attorney for this business gave a comment over the virtual, and he said, a lot of what you're saying, counsel, is wrong. When I looked into it, there was only one other liquor license granted within a half-mile radius, and this owner is an exemplary citizen with a good reputation and no violations against them, so you should let this go through.
Oh, this is that building that they tore apart on the corner there. They put like a facade up and then built inside it, and then have been working. So they want to make that into a... Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But see, it's also not fair if that person has a lawyer advocating for them and the other groups don't, and they want to be more equal about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to everybody, they were like, no. But it's not their decision. It's the state's decision, so we'll see what happens. Then there was one public comment, a member of the public who said, for the ethics committee... So this new topic, when city employees are promoted or their responsibilities change, they should be required to sign a new disclosure affidavit detailing any work and partners they have outside of their city jobs to check for conflicts of interest. So I guess that's not happening now. My understanding is it just happens one time when you're hired by the city. This person says, thank you for opposing the liquor license transfers. I think that's good. And for the city budget, we need to eliminate fluff and fully fund police and firefighters.
Well, it sounds like they're listening to people trying to get those positions filled and giving the chiefs the leeway to fill them as they need. I know I heard on one of your other podcasts that they had applied for a grant to get, I think, like 15 more firefighters.
That's right. Yep. And that came up again. So that's still going through as far as they know. I think the state budget will be finalized next month, and then they'll know for sure. Yeah. So still waiting a little bit. Then there was a break between the committee of the whole and the regular meeting. Between the meetings, there was some chit-chat about the storm damage, but no public comments about it. So I thought that was interesting. For best dressed, so Ryan Koss, president, did come over to me, and he had on some plaid. I had on some plaid. He was like, look at us.
Wow.
Matching.
So they know this is a thing.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, Ryan. He really wants best dressed. And I actually did give a shout out for a public event I'm helping to organize to council. There's you can give a 1-minute presentation about a community event. So I got up and I said something, but I forgot to say both the time and location for my event. So pretty medium job by me. So I'm going to give best dressed to Councilwoman Trini Pellivanoglu. She had on a Barbie pink blazer.
Nice.
Yes. Every meeting is girls' meeting. The regular meeting began, and it started with Councilmember Jackson giving a tribute to the 5- and 6-year-old Parks and Rec soccer team called the Stampede.
Aww.
Jackson's son is on the team. There were 8 youths up there in their red jerseys looking sheepishly proud.
Aww.
And then 5 seconds later, fidgety and bored.
Very cool for them.
Yes, but I think they had a good time. Their parents were happy, and I got to start another round of applause.
Oh, nice job.
Thank you.
I'm sure the kids appreciated it, too.
I think so, yeah. And they did it right at the beginning, so then they could
out of there.
be on their way.
Well, look and see, then those kids have the experience of going when they were a kid, and then maybe when they're older, they'll be more apt to be involved.
Exactly. Chief Strategy Officer Brower took a call during this presentation saying, yeah, I can talk.
Oh, wow.
So he missed that. I was talking to Brian P. Jackson at the break. He is the deputy clerk, and he did have to stand in for Clerk Chris Swope at this meeting. And he was saying that any council member can do a tribute to anybody they want. During past councils, during election season, he said council people would just bring up like 3 or 4 folks per meeting.
Oh, and just give a little campaign for them.
Kind of.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a strategy.
It is. I'm not sure how many people see it, though. Too much.
It's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next, they brought up the Board of Water and Light, our city utility, BWL, the manager, Dick Peffley, and Andy Kilpatrick, the public service director, to give a storm damage report and answer questions. Peffley says, so the transmission lines for the power are the super high ones, which are different from the distribution lines that are the shorter poles. Mm-hmm. So for the transmission poles, over the last 25 years, Lansing has only lost 2 of these.
Wow.
This storm, 24 poles went down. So it was a huge problem.
Wow, that just is very surprising. 25 years and then 1 storm.
Mm-hmm. And those are built to withstand 90-mile-an-hour winds.
Wow.
He said, but within 24 hours, 94% of the city's power outages were restored. Did you lose power?
We actually lost, we lost power during the storm. Then it came back in the morning. Mm-hmm. Then we lost it again on Friday for a day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it was on and off and on and off. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't too long. Fridge was fine, so that was good.
Good. Yeah.
My father-in-law's on Waverly, though, and he was still out yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Part of that 6%.
Yeah, and we've lived here 5 years, and this is the first summer we've ever lost power, and then twice, so it's kind of surprising because we were really lucky that we hadn't before that. So I appreciate everybody out there working.
Yeah, good job. Pefferly said they had 40 crews working and no work-related accidents.
Nice.
So that's good. Councilmember Brown said, should we be looking into burying these lines? And Pefferly said, for the transmission lines, no one really buries those. They're too much power moving through. You don't want to electrocute the whole ground.
Yeah.
He said for the distribution lines, it's really costly. It's very disruptive. It's more expensive for the residents. So he doesn't really recommend it. But something still to look into, good to ask about. Kilpatrick was up next, and he said, we have not been doing as well as BWL with, like, the pickup of the branches and things. He says that our guys, we have 3 teams working, and they just have to throw the stuff into the truck by hand. Mm-hmm. So they can't get those large branches, like the whole tree trunks. It'll be a few weeks before we have a crew that's able to come through to do that.
The big ones.
Just FYI, everyone. He did say this Saturday you can drop off whatever you want, tree debris, at Kriego at their location from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Folks can just take it themselves there if they want. And they have received a bunch of service requests, but they've already been through 60 to 70% of those. Those are like if a tree fell on somebody's house, they called in, and so they're working hard to get those cleared.
They actually know about it, the ones that were reported.
Yeah. The mayor said, in regards to the storm, we're pushing the governor to try to get some federal aid money to pay for the significant expenses we've incurred due to this cleanup work. So hopefully we'll get some monies. The mayor and President Cost also said thank you to all of the Lansing residents who went out to help your neighbors, to help clear the roads, help clear the sidewalks. We really appreciate all that. I guess that the mayor's chief of staff, Mark Lawrence, was out working on a tree removal, but his chainsaw died.
Aww.
President Cost was there to help. So they shared a nice story about that. Next in the meeting, there was one house for make safe or demolish. It was a home on North Martin Luther King Jr. and near Willow Road. Peli Voneglu, who's in charge of this committee that's doing these, she said that this particular home, they have made significant improvements. They've pulled their permits. Like, I think that they will have this up to code within 60 days. Councilmember Jackson says, then I don't think we should vote to have this go through because it's kind of a stain on their record. And if they're just going to be doing it anyways, that's fine. And then they had the vote and everybody voted yes. I think Jackson forgot what he was planning to do. So he was looking a little sheepish after that. But they went through with the make safe or demolish order for this one house. And then they did pass an ordinance change allowing for fireworks for Juneteenth celebrations until 11:45 that night.
Well, that is nice that they allow for that, but it's summer of fireworks. So, I mean, it's great that you're allowing it, but it's still every night.
For sure. No one is really cracking down on the fireworks.
But I'm really glad that people won't be harassed and called on that. You know, there won't be calls coming in on that night for people who are celebrating.
Yeah. That passed unanimously. Then there were some public comments. One person said, I'm sad to see all these make safe or demolish orders. Landlords need to be held accountable for fixing up their properties. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, in response to the recent crash, this is car crash on South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, you cannot police or educate your way out of bad road design. You can only change the road's design if you want to prevent these issues from happening again. People can drive too fast, so they will. There's ways to do it. While Lansing and other municipalities in Michigan have seen a 10% increase in pedestrian crashes, Ann Arbor, who has made a dedicated plan to changing their road design, has seen a reduction in this statistic because of all the work they've done. So it can be done.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard they were doing on MLK, is they were going to do some hard changes that would make it more difficult to do the racing. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know anything official.
I haven't heard anything official either, so I hope that's true. 2 folks from the firefighters unions came up, and I didn't 100% follow this, but it sounds like changes are being made to the available health care plans because the health coverage that they were going with, PHP, is going out of business. So they have to make changes. Right. And who they're going with is going to be a little higher cost in premiums. Mm-hmm. I guess this will be affecting not only the current employees, but also the retirees who are on the plans. Yeah. And these union reps were like, we need to make sure that these costs aren't so much for the retirees.
So it's just an update.
Yeah.
Kind of an update.
And I guess the city, you guys need to come up with a plan for this.
Yeah.
One representative from the group, The Rent is Too Damn High, was there, and they were at the last meeting. A bunch of folks spoke, and this person reiterated their message from last meeting, which was at the Sycamore townhomes, people are being treated unfairly, being kicked out. The city made promises. These promises have been broken. And also at the Fallen Angels encampment that's at Diedrich Park, please don't kick people out of this encampment without a plan. Saying those things again. 2 more folks who are currently living at the Sycamore townhomes came to add their voices, and they talked about how they're being harassed by these hired security guards, and they haven't received any resources from the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, who are the ones who should be providing help in this situation. It's an ongoing problem.
Have they been talking about this at meetings then for a bit?
This is the second meeting that they've been talking about it, and it's not anything council has brought up. Right. It's something that the public has brought to their attention.
Right, that's what it sounds like to me, that they're trying to find a way to have a voice and not being very successful.
Yeah. And a final comment was about police bias. A resident was there. She said she was arrested when she was seeing some of her family members being arrested, and she was mad about that. And then she also got arrested, and she said she was born and raised here, and the police are acting worse than the criminals now and getting away with it. Sure, crime may be on the rise, but we're not all criminals. Don't treat us like that. I took a peek back at the police person who was assigned to the meeting, and he was not paying attention to this comment. He was on his phone.
Of course. But that's too bad.
Yeah. So that was a meeting. Listeners, who would you like to see given a tribute at the next city council meeting?
I know when I was at the meeting, they did a tribute for the guy who started the Krampusnacht festival. So that was pretty cool.
Council has a break until June 9th. And our special guest for that meeting will be the Honorable Council President Ryan Cost.
Woohoo! go.
So excited about that. And in the meanwhile, I'll be working on an episode introducing the other candidates in our upcoming election. That will air on June 4th. And Alicia, anything else you want to give a shout out to?
We have a neighborhood garage sale coming up on May 31st from 9 to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
We will have tables at the Grace Lutheran Church on MLK and then also throughout our neighborhood. If you want to join, look us up on Facebook. You can still get a spot, but come shop.
Very cool. Love those garage sales.
Yeah, just trying to get people out and get to know some people and have an event, something to do with each other.
I was at a garage sale over the weekend, and there was a nice big folding table, and I was like, oh, I'll take that. And they were like, no, not for sale. And then a beautiful cat came into the garage from the house, and all the shoppers were like, oh. So get those animals out there, too.
Well, we have like 6 cats in our neighborhood, so come grab one. They're all over, and they're nice little outside kitties.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was very fun.
Really appreciate hearing your voice.
I appreciate you making the meetings more accessible to everybody.
Yes. Thank you all for listening, and thank you to the Public Media Center for letting us record with you.